Hey everybody, welcome back inside another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is January 28th, 2019, and just like that, a month of this year is already gone. We have some kit releases this week, of course, and also some kit announcements. We have the spot runs from Aoshima for March, so that'll just be the kits that are being reissued to restock shelves. And then we also have the April releases, which will be some new announcements. So, on the spot run side of things, again, none of these things have anything different. They're just being reissued. So, if you happen to miss it the last time, here comes another chance for you. The 2016 Toyota 86. The 1975 Fairlady Z Custom, that is the custom Aero 240Z that Aoshima reissues, like a good pair of socks. 79 Corolla EX 70 GT DX. The 1980 Subaru Sambar High Roof. The 1979 Suzuki Carry Panel Van. The Y32 Cedric Gloria Kit. The JZX90 Chaser Cresta Kit. The 2010 Toyota Hiace Boxy Style VIP van, the 2005 Toyota Alphard Silk Blaze VIP van, the Top Secret R34 GTR, the 1996 Toyota Soarer Vertex Edition, the Lamborghini Aventador Super Veloce, the Liberty Walk Liberty Works Ken and Mary Skyline Nissan Patrol Car, and the Liberty Works Liberty Walk Nissan Skyline Hakasuka Race Tribute. Also, the 330 Gloria and the first generation Toyota Soarer from the from the Grand Champion series being reissued. And then once again, because I know we've talked about this not that terribly long ago, the Knight Rider kit from season 1 and season 4. So those kits of those cars continue to sell well. Over in April, again, these will be new announcements. They're going to reissue in the model car line their 2006 Honda Odyssey Absolute. Now, this is the JDM spec RB1 generation Odyssey that ran from 2004 to 2008. They're calling theirs a 2006. This will be the first time in a terribly long time, possibly since 2007 when it was really originally released, that this kit has been available in a factory stock form. The Odyssey has been reissued several times in its VIP van variants, but the factory stock or close to factory stock versions were only done once, way back when this kit originally came out in the mid-2000s, to support sort of all of the VIP vehicles that came afterwards. You're going to be able to build this either in the early or late specifications, so that'll be like a 2004, 2005, and a 2007, 2008. Very minor differences with grills and things like that. They are tooling up a new set of wheels for it, so it'll have actual factory stock wheels for the late version, because the Absolute is a trim level for it. So the wheels that come with it naturally, as it were, are the top of the line sporty model, if you can call anything made by Honda in an Odyssey van sporty. But so this will give you the actual ability to build like a regular Odyssey, not the top of the line one, as well. So it's very interesting. Now it is a JDM Odyssey. Somewhere after either the first or the second generation of Honda Odysseys, the production split. They started building Odysseys here in Canada. Well, not here in Canada, but here in North America in Canada for the North American market. The Odysseys we have here in the United States and North America in general are much larger than the JDM Odysseys. And so never the two twain shall meet again. I've seen a few people in passing over the years complain that certain Odyssey kits don't have left-hand drive. Well, no, because they aren't really exported to left-hand drive countries, rather, because the countries that would get a left-hand drive Odyssey, like us here, we get the one built here. Other countries, like Europe, who would have left-hand drive Odysseys, get ones that are exported from Canada. So, if you look at like a current Honda Odyssey JDM and the current Honda Odyssey that's made here in North America, the two cars don't look anything alike, other than sharing a very vague familial front end and being called Odysseys. Other than that, the Odyssey we have in the United States is much, much larger than the Japanese one. Also, they're going to reissue their 1990 Nissan Leopard Ultima version 3.0. I want to say that this kit has in some form or fashion been reissued recently. It may have been right before the model car thing started, where they started reboxing these things into these new series. This is going to have BBS wheels. They're saying factory stock wheels as well. The Nissan Leopard in this format was basically the same thing as the entry-level Infiniti was at the time. Obviously, you're getting a JDM car here, not an Infiniti, but it's so people can imagine in their heads what it is. They're going to reissue in the More Grand Champion series the 430 generation Nissan Gloria and the Toyota Celica Liftback. That's the 1970, I think they call it a 1976 Liftback. And then the one sort of modified reissue for April is going to be Kozu Hoshino's Nissan R34 GTR from Initial D. Now, you may recall that they are doing a new FD3S RX-7 that is specific to a certain section of Initial D in terms of the series as it went along. And this car would also sort of go along with that in that section of the comic. I think at this point we're doing the anime that was on TV as far as where we're at in the timeline of Initial D with these cars. This car is going to have an aero package and at least new wheels and a few other bits and pieces to make it closely resemble the comic. So there's going to be new parts to this in their venerable R34 kit. So for people who collect Initial D especially, Initial D still wildly popular, obviously, considering how often the Toyota Truno gets reissued. There will be another new entry into that as well. One other April reissue we have to talk about, and that would be BMAX is going to be reissuing their Lancia Delta S4. Now, if you're sitting there going, wait a minute, wasn't that just released like 3 weeks ago? Yes, you'd be correct, and it's already sold out. So bravo on all you guys out there for helping just completely until they blow the doors quite literally off the warehouse with that one, that they have to already spot run it back into production. Now, you can still find it here and there, but as far as the actual, BMAX warehouse where it's sent from, Gonski's, no more, and they have to run a reissue. They also have to run a reissue of the Photo Etch. The Detail Upset also sold out, which makes sense because of the, I think I was probably one of the more, aside from the 2 rally kits where you had to buy the Photo Etch to get like the evil tobacco liveries, that's probably the most full PE set. And we'll show it to you because I have one here in another video. As far as having all the PE and the seatbelt material and the antennas and the 3 sheets of carbon fiber decals with it as well. So again, bravo on all you guys for proving the Group B rallying can sell and sell quite nicely. So I think it's probably, other than maybe the Ford RS, I think the Lancia Delta S4 probably one of the most requested Group B rally cars of that era. And so glad to see that it sold well. I figured it would, but it's good to see it actually doing that. So we have one other little bit of news here, and before we go into the kit releases, one of the things that we'll probably get more in depth on should we get good coverage out of the Nuremberg Toy Fair next weekend is this. This is going to be, I believe what I've heard is this is patterned up from a 1/35 scale kit. This is not necessarily just a off-the-wall 1/24 scale thing like they did with the Model T, but it's going to be this, which is the Type AG, which is a Renault taxi that was made back in, well, obviously you can see 1910. They're going to be doing 2 kits. One will be the Paris taxi, one will be the London taxi. Actually, this was apparently a ridiculously popular vehicle to have in a taxi platform. I happened to look to see what the heck a Type AG was, because obviously there's no mention of a manufacturer here, it's just Type AG. And found a little history website with one of these London taxis for sale, actually, somewhere here in the United States. And it said if the information on that website is correct, they built something like 2,500 of those and shipped them to England to be used in London's taxi fleet. Obviously, Paris used them because Renault being a French company and all that. So for Brass era fans, we've got a brand new kit coming out of ICM in the Ukraine. They're also going to be doing a new figure series, several new figure series actually. One is going to be sort of a driving civilian series, if you will, just a male and female in period clothing from the 1910s, 19 teens, if you will. There's also going to be a racing team, which is also a male and female, dressed in more period racing attire, which is pretty much a leather helmet with goggles. Also for the Model T, they're also going to be doing a set of figures. Looks like it's 2 gentlemen, possibly 3. It's hard to tell from like the drawing how many figures are actually included. They're loading gasoline and like vintage 1910 gasoline satchels, and then they're going to release that figure set with the 19 whatever it is 12 I think it is Model T panel van. So you can buy the figure separately, or you can buy it with the kit, sort of the way they did the firefighters, where you get the firefighters without the fire truck, or the firefighters with the fire truck. So some more 124 scale figures for your 124 scale Model T projects out there. So moving along to kit releases, there were 3 more of the round 2 kits here for the month of January, and then of course everything else will be overseas. Here in the United States, starting with Polar Lights, you get this. It is the reissue of the Volkswagen Beetle Snap Tight kit, this time with the Coca-Cola tie-in. Obviously, we all know that round 2 has a Coca-Cola licensing, and they are licensing everything they possibly can get their hands on. Whether it makes any sense or not. And if you think this is the most ridiculous thing you've seen, you don't know what's coming. It is the same kit as always been as far as the kit itself. The only new thing about this is the Coca-Cola tie-in. It does come with like 4 sets of wheels, so it has every set of wheels that this kit has come with over the years. So if you've been interested in this, I think this might be, aside from the fact that it's probably $1 or $2 more expensive than the other ones, maybe the best value option, just because of all of the different wheel options that you have with it. Now, being a snap-tight kit, what can you do with those wheels beyond the snap-tight kit? I couldn't tell you. I don't own any of these, so I don't know how the wheels are designed to connect, if these are rolling on like metal axles or they snap to the chassis or whatever. But be that as it may, should you want one, it's not a bad Beetle. I mean, really, if you want to build a Beetle just as a model kit for the basis of building like a model of a Beetle, like this is a great weekend build kind of thing, that type of deal. But if you want to build a Beetle, the Revell Germany Beetle, which was released here in like the California wheel set by Revell, and then the original Tamiya kit are great options. Of course, Hasegawa also has one that's a curbside, but like for a full detail model, the Tamiya one and the Revell Germany one are pretty much equals as far as detail and everything else. Again, throw this together over the weekend, though. So there's an option for that. Over at MPC, you're going to get this kit. It is the Tom McEwen, the Mongoose, the 1969 front engine dragster. So as we told you, this has the new scoop and the new front wing, the new injector hat as well, along with the 1969 decals. I've seen a little bit of griping here and there about people complaining that they didn't like tool a whole new kit for this. Hey, at least they didn't just throw decals in it and just, throw it back out again, right? They at least made a few modifications to try to bring it a little closer to the 1-to-1 without having to go through the expense of tooling a whole new thing. You know that round 2 is just never going to do that for you, so is what it is in that sense. And then the last kit from round 2. Now, there's one more round 2 kit that still has not been released yet, but the last round 2 kit for this video will be this. It is the long-awaited AMT reboxing, if you will, of their original reboxing of the 1934 Ford pickup truck. So you've got your basically a 3-in-1 here. You've got the custom, the completely factory stock, and then the service truck, like a tow truck type of deal. There is a stock engine here. There's the chromed custom engine. They've pad printed some vinyl tires. They also retooled and reworked some of the parts that were not in the previous releases of the Lindbergh kits. The steel wheels here, I'm not exactly sure there's been a debate online as to what their origins are, but they are not the original wheels that came with the original 1934 Ford back in 1960 something or other. So, it is that, but it is molded in white, so you don't have to deal with all the crazy bright colors that the Lindbergh kits came in. And I know that there'll be some people that will go buy this kit regardless as to whether or not they have any of the Lindbergh ones, just to have the original Trophy Series kit back, and the fact that this pretty much mimics the original box art and all of that nostalgia factor. So for those of you who are interested, that came out. All three of those kits actually came into my local hobby shop here yesterday, or well, today, I should say. Hint, I'm filming this on Tuesday. They came in on Monday. So those, like I said, those were like literally fresh off the UPS truck, along with another kit. I did not pick up any of those three, but I did pick up a kit that also came in on Monday. And again, we'll talk about that in a separate video. Let's see here. Overseas, we have kits from Hasegawa. We have kits from Aoshima, as I believe there's also, yes, there's a Fujimi kit in there. And I guess the first one, the first kit we'll talk about, and normally I don't talk about kits that are released in the United States that are also being released in Japan, just on the basis of the fact that, try to get the global reach of the show, if you will, being on YouTube, is people well beyond just the United States watch this. But here in the United States, if you happen to be in the United States or North America in general, then this kit just came out. So the Tamiya 4 GT is officially released here in the United States. It was shipped out pretty much everywhere at the middle of last week, and everywhere here, now that I said it's Monday, Tuesday here in the United States, you should be able to order this from pretty much everywhere. Whether or not your local hobby shop has them in depends on how much they order Tamiya kits. My local hobby shop got like a dozen of these in, and then he has more coming because he's also a show vendor. I'm not sure when this is going to actually hit Europe per se, but it probably will again be before it is released in Japan. As of right now, you guys still cannot order this in Japan. This is going to be a 3,800 yen kit in Japan. So more than likely, Hobby Lane Japan, places like that, will sell it in the mid $30 range, because 3,800 yen, even with the current exchange rate, is something like $36. And you know that Hobby Lane Japan, Hobby Search will give a discount on top of that. They'll probably end up pricing it like 3,500 yen, which ended up being like 3,275, 3,315, somewhere in that range, depending on what day of the week it is and what the stock market is doing. But you can't pre-order it yet. I don't know when exactly this kit is going to be released in Japan to get it cheaper. I paid $43.20 at my local hobby shop for this. Most of the ones you're starting to see pop up on eBay, as well as places like Mega Hobby and Brookhurst and other places, are selling them for $44.50. In reality, $33 for this kit, plus it's going to cost you around $10 to ship it. You're going to be right at that same price level importing it from Japan. I'm sure it will be sold in Japan at some point. I don't know when. It looks like release in Hong Kong, China will be the end of February, but you would assume that if this is going to be released at the end of February in Japan, you would already have pre-orders for it, because that's like less than a month away at this point. So I'm not, like I said, not exactly totally sure about that, but if you're here in the United States, you can grab them now. So that is your Tamiya kit for the month of January. I'm going to consider that kit released. I'll mention it again if I see pre-orders go up in Japan, but I'm not going to focus on it being like a new release when the kit comes out. I'll mention it, but at this point in time, I consider that kit to be available for the majority of people. And you'll have to keep an eye on Spot Model, Hero Boy, and whatever if you're in Europe as far as when they're going to be getting that kit in, but I would assume it would be relatively soon. Over at Fujimi, there are 2 releases this week. There'll be one more kit coming out this month, but it's not quite ready yet. First up will be this. It is the McLaren Honda MP46 from the 1991 F1 season. You can build the Brazil or San Marino Grand Prix out of the box. You'll notice there in the corner, there's the big yellow blob with the photo etch in it. That photo etch is specific to the Japanese Grand Prix. Now, what is the difference between... I couldn't tell you, and I don't care. but be aware that is supposedly designed specifically for that. I hear my phone vibrating. Somebody's trying to call. Uh, it is a photo etch set. I think there's a couple of pieces of like cast metal in there too for some of the wing supports and things like that. Know that going into this kit, this car was sponsored by Marlboro in real life, and there are no Marlboro liveries included with this kit. So you will have to go through your Taboo, Decal Pull, or whoever to get the actual correct liveries for it if you care enough to build it that way. The other release this week from Fujimi is their reissue of the Porsche 911 Carrera 3.8 RSR. This is a very interesting kit in what it's not, in the sense that this is a big fat lying box art. There is no gas filler like engraved into the hood, and the hood latches are not engraved into this kit. This is essentially the 911 Carrera GT4, or not GT4, but the Carrera 2, Carrera 4 kit that they've basically thrown a different rear wing onto and some different wheels into and a different front bumper on, and they're like, hey, do you notice? Clearly on the box art it shows that there are 2 seats in this car. You only get 1 in the kit, so it already doesn't have the hood tie downs. That big, obviously 3-dimensional gas filler is a decal, and it looks awful. Sorry, Fujimi, but that's the fact of the matter. You would be much better off, I don't know, stealing one out of a GT3 car if you happen to have a GT3 kit. You know, a lot of them have recessed engraved fuel fillers. The AMG, specifically either the SLS or the Tamiya GT3, both of them have that style gas filler on it. It does come with a roll cage. Those wheels, kind of, sort of. The back ones are not deep dish like that. All 4 of them are the same offset as far as the wheel lip goes, so even that's not true. You really got to want this kit and then want to put the effort into fixing it and making it into an RSR. It is a curbside, so it's based off of the later versions of the 911. It is not a enthusiast series kit with a new body tossed onto it. You gotta want it, the subject matter. I can't recommend this offhand unless you're willing to put the work into making what it looks like on the box. If you want to make it just be 3.8 Carrera with a big fat wing on the back of it, an RSR style wing, you could probably pull that off without the fuller door. Maybe put the roll cage in. You're still going to be short a seat, because it really only does come with 1 racing seat. The rest of the civilian interior doesn't come with the kit, so it is what it is, and as far as what it is, so just keep that in mind if you were at all interested in that. Aoshima has a few things. We'll go through the spot reissues before we go through the actual new releases. So on the spot reissue side of things, you have this is the Ken and Mary Works Liberty Walk 2014 edition, as I like to call it. This is, of course, as you can see on the box art, the powder blue car, right? So this is one of those kits I think would be really great had they actually gone ahead and put through the entire works, if you will, right? If it had the interior updated along with the exterior. The exterior looks pretty much like the real car does. The interior can obviously be scratch built, but I think this was probably one of the cars they would have been able to sell more of had they actually put the extra work into it and not just sort of put some over fenders on the old Ken and Mary 1973 GTR from back in the late 70s, early 80s, and throwing it out the door. I think this was, I personally would buy one if I didn't have to scratch build 2/3 of it in order to make it look like the real car. Reissued also the Subaru Sandbar and the World Rally Blue Limited. This kit is the same as the other Sandbar pickup truck, is just molded in blue. Reissue of the 1985 Toyota Truno Sprinter GT Apex. This kit does have the engine insert. And then reissue of this, the Mines R34 Skyline GTR. It, as far as I'm concerned, is still the best looking aftermarket GTR R34. Now, people will yell and scream and throw a fit, but I rule on the basis of it's my channel and BBS, all of the things. So there's those reissues. On the new release, none of these are new, right? But on the new release and the fact that these are the kits that are supposed to come out this month, and there's still one more to come out, but these are 3 of the 4. You have this, which is the YN series Toyota Hilux New Old School. So this is, there's the old school, which is like the 1980s style Hilux, and then there's the new old school, which is the 1990s Hilux, but it's old school because it's lowrider, yo. So this comes with all of the articulating suspension pieces and bed control points and everything else that all the lowrider kits have. If you've never seen one of these things, the chassis on them are very, very toy-like because they are designed to be have the suspension height be adjustable both up and down. The actual camber of the wheels can be adjusted pretty much on probably what is close to about a 35-degree angle from all the way tipped in to all the way towed out. You can then take the bed and sort of hinge the bed like a lowrider pickup truck bed would. So there's a lot of options to how you display this belt. I guess I would say it's still JDM and all of that. This kit does include the newer front end from sort of the late 90s or mid to late 90s Hilux, as well as the earlier one. So a couple different building options there. Being that it uses most of the Hilux parts from the Hilux Surf as far as the interior goes. Obviously, it doesn't use the interior bucket because the Hilux Surf's, a bucket for an SUV, but it uses the front half. It shouldn't be too hard that if you had a Hilux Surf that you were willing to sacrifice to, correct the drive handle, if you will, of this, you could flip it to left-hand drive without too many terrible problems. Because pretty much all of the rest of this kit, the bumpers and the grills and the lights and everything like that are US spec. Now, why they didn't just go ahead and throw a left-hand drive in this, I don't know, but it is what it is. Also, speaking of the Hilux Surf, that got reissued this week as well. This, of course, will be a Toyota 4Runner here in the United States. This kit still comes with all the left-hand drive parts. We've talked about it in the past, where the Hilux Surf and the Nissan Terrano, which of course is the Pathfinder here in the United States, were released by Aoshima during the Satco days as those things. They were released as a 4Runner and a Pathfinder. Those kits, unlike a lot of the other ones that American Satco Americanized, were tooled up with injected molded left-hand drive parts. Like if you get the Infiniti, the Honda Accord wagon, and other American Satco kits, you're going to get a resin dashboard conversion. These kits, the Surf and the Terrano, I keep mentioning the Terrano because it's getting reissued next month, come with injected molded left-hand drive parts. It's actual kit plastic here. For the first time in a very, very long time, they've included a bunch of extra parts with this kit because it's in the Model Car series. So it's got a couple of different undercarriage skid plates, a couple of different front-end roll bars, one with lights, one without. There's a roof light setting, a couple of roof light settings. They're also, in this kit, including the bumpers and the grills to make an earlier version of the Hilux and the later version, and include the wheels to do the early or the late. So I'm not sure when the last time it's been available in an early format, but it's been a while. So if you wanted to build like a 1990, I think these are supposed to be 1995, let's see, I didn't write down what the years, but these are supposed to be like mid or very early 1990s. So you could actually build a late 1980s Hilux Surf or 4Runner without the 4Runner logos for the first time in a very, very, very long time. So it's kind of cool that they threw not only just the optional parts, but all of the optional parts into it for a very long time. And yes, the left-hand drive parts are still included. And then there is one more Aoshima kit to talk about here, and it is this object art here. This, of course, is the 2014 Toyota Pro Box, a kit that was released about a year and a half ago at this point, maybe even closer to 2 years. And now this has a tie-in with God Hand, the people that make, a variety of tools, but probably most people know them for their nippers or side cutters, however you want to look at it, your sprue cutters. So this is effectively the same kit. It just has a really big silkscreen decal sheet to throw Miss Ultimate Nepicado onto your Pro Box. So, yeah, it's certainly a conversation piece, if nothing else. If you bought one, you built one. Not only would you have the only Pro Box on the table at your club meeting, you'd also have the only Anime Itasca Pro Box on your club meeting as well. It's a special edition, so it may not stay in the catalog forever. Once it sells out, they might reissue it depending, but it's a sort of, being that's a licensing between Aoshima and God Hand. Yeah, I'm not saying limited edition, oh my god, go buy one. I'm just saying anytime you see a kit pop up on these videos that has the SP down there instead of a kit number, that is a special production, and it is not a permanent catalog item, so just keep that in mind. Should you be so inclined to purchase one in the first place. And then we have, 4 kits? Yes, 4 kits from Hasegawa for this month, and this will take care of all of Hasegawa's kits for this month. First up, you have the reissue of the Suzuki Jimny JA112 in 1991 format. I think I've said this was the earliest Jimny. I think I've said this was the latest Jimny, and in reality, it's somewhere in between, because the newest Jimny is in 1995. So, I would have to sit down with this kit when it arrives and the other kits and see exactly what it is that was in the earlier kits that I didn't use that makes the parts to make this one. Because the only new thing about this that is completely new are the decals for the Jimny Turbo fuchsia swooshiness that's on the side of the car. Which means that probably all of the other parts you needed to make it have been included as those other kits were run off. You just didn't use them. And the Jimnys have like a lot of parts you don't use because you're pretty much getting all of the parts and all of the kits. So what makes this specifically a 1991 compared to a 1995 or compared to the 1980s kits? I don't know. I'd have to sit down and look. But the only new thing, there are no new tool parts because all the parts that needed to be tooled are already in the kit. So the only new thing is the graphics package. So Jimny, all of the things at this point. I believe this will probably be the last of them as far as it goes, unless they go to the next generation that came after the 1995 cars that had the coilover suspensions and the slightly different bodies. It still runs on basically the same exact chassis and almost the same body. They could probably, with a couple of side mold pieces and a new chassis, reissue it again. So we'll see if they go along with that or what the plans are with it from there. But I think factory stock wise in the JA series, this is probably the end of the line for that. Then you have this, which is the 124 scale Tyrrell 021. This would be from the 1993 F1 season and was unmitigatedly a total failure of a race car. I think 15th or something like that is the best this car ever finished. No driver points whatsoever. The car came into being midway through the 1993 F1 season, so that was also probably a problem. It's got I want to say it's a Lamborghini V12, but that just suddenly doesn't sound right. So while we sit here and think about that, I'll go look real quick. You'll notice that the graphics there, excuse me, say are cabin tobacco liveries without the actual wording. They are like let me see. I'm like I can't look at two things at one time here. The what do the graphics say exactly? They're challenge in spirit, basically, and that is what we've talked about in the past, where the logos were changed for different races. Where if the home market race didn't allow you to use a tobacco livery, you would get these sort of, it's a tobacco livery, but it's not because the words are changed around and the logo is not technically a cigarette sponsorship. So you get that. There is, by the way, an A and a B in several different sizes on this decal sheet, so you can take out the challenge spirit part of the decal and put the AB in there for the couple of races where they were allowed to have cabin racing. So there are in this kit actually the tobacco liveries if you want to build it to a race that allowed it. Now this car itself, I think, is built to the Japanese Grand Prix, and I don't believe they allowed them. And this car did not have a Lamborghini engine; it had a V10 from Yamaha. I knew that was Lamborghini was wrong when I said it, and I'm not gonna. I wanted to fix that while we're while we're in the middle of filming this. Rather than me putting words on the screen later. So it had a Yamaha engine. Doesn't matter. Lamborghini, Yamaha, it still stunk on ice. So there's that. Also, as we go along here from Hasegawa, we have this, which is a little bit of a modified reissue for the BMW 2000 Ti for the 1971 Swedish Rally. This kit comes with new wheels, a new skid plate for the engine area, and then it has a new set of night racing lights. So those racing lights there on the front grille are a newly tooled part. It's just that, and the lights themselves, the bumper itself isn't tooled, so you have to notch the bumper to get those to fit. This car finished second in the 1971 Swedish Rally, so it is a podium car if you just wanted to build it the way it is. I believe there's a couple of the aftermarket decal sets that have been created for the BMW 2002 rally car require these wheels, so that's a nice addition. Makes you not have to go out and buy a resin trans kit just for, or not resin trans kit, but resin wheels just for the sake of buying wheels. You can just buy this kit instead, and it's very obviously a very basic livery, black over orange, and a few signs for Hella lighting and some other Swedish words there, but Bjork, that's all there is to that. There is, let's see here, one more Hasegawa kit, and this will be the last kit of the video, and it is this, the reissue of the 1994 Civic Fario JTCC with the Intertech for the number 88 team here. So we talked about this when it was announced. We talked about it, when we did the January recap video. This is a very, very interesting choice for a new livery kit. The Fario obviously exists. It's been around since the mid-1990s. They've reissued all of the existing Civic Fario liveries since the rebirth, if you will, of the JTCC season within Hasegawa. Like, they've reissued all of the BMWs, all of the 3-door Hondas, all of the 4-door Hondas. This is a legitimately new livery set. I was talking to a couple of friends, and I said, this is the kit for the driver who can't remember who his sponsor is, but he can remember what kind of car he drives. Civic Fario all over it. It's very interesting to see what the color of this was, because this color, the sort of tomato red color, is quite a bit brighter than the red they were showing in their promotional advertising. This is an Auto Sport actual photo of the real car, so I'm assuming it's a little bit more on point. The car didn't do particularly well, finished 21st in one of the races, 15th in the other race. Back in 1994, they ran 2 sets of races at each racetrack, one on a Saturday, one on a Sunday. And yeah, this ran one race, the Intertech, in 1994 at Fuji, because that drew in drivers from outside of Japan, which Mr. Han happens to be, and yeah, I guess he wanted to race a Honda, so there he did. I got one just because, me, JTCC, gotta have every kit, but it's just really, like I said, a really interesting choice just from that whole aspect of being a one race, didn't do real well race car. There were something like 7 or 8 total, including that one, Farios run in 1994, and they kitted 4 of them before, then those have all been reissued, and now this will be the 5th one. The other 3, while being field filler kind of cars, all ran the entire season, so there has to be photos of them, available to do the liveries for them. Licensing perhaps could be there, but again, how much licensing can you really charge for a 30-year out-of-date race car? But I don't know. I would love to see them do the other 3. I would buy every single one of them to have every single Fario option. I'd love to see them do the other 4 BMW 318i's that ran in 1994. I'd love to see Aoshima, or not Aoshima, but BMAX reissue their 1994 Corona with the other factory Toyota team that ran it that year. Wait and see, and hope for the best, I guess. write letters, demand action, whatever the case may be. But that, guys, will wrap up this video. There are a few straggling kits that I'm sure we will see come in, through the end of the month. For next week's video, they still have a couple of kits from Aoshima. Also have one kit from Fujimi and the one kit from AMT, the 69 GTX convertible. So that pretty much wraps up the month of January. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys on the other side.